Not plant nor beast, but something in between. Hello there, and welcome to Homebrew Hunt. Today, we have not one, but three new playable races. But they are all under one roof, so to speak. Fungi. There is the Death Cap, the Trip, and the Infection. We shall start with the Infection. Or, well, Infection. Can't really shorten Infection. And for short appearances, most of the fungi look mostly human, with the exception of the head of the... well, heads of all of them, but in different ways. For instance, the infection, their head appears mostly human except for the ghostly eyes, and the head, near the top where the hair would be, is replaced by multiple bright orange... well... you know that fungus that controls ants and makes them to zombies? There's a whole game about that? Yeah. Don't worry, it's weaker. Hopefully. Probably. Anyways. There's Death Cap, whose head is just a mushroom, while the Trip, whose head appears, well, mostly human, except that it appears to have a mushroom hat, specifically. But anyways. The Infection has a +1 to Wisdom, +1 to Constitution. Their main ability is that they can infect a person, well, infect a target. And once the person is infected, they have to make a con save. If the con save is failed after 3 turns in combat, or 18 seconds total, they must make a wisdom saving throw every turn. If they fail, they will be taken out of initiative, not having the desire to fight anymore. Any healing items or spells, lesser restoration, even a small healing potion can easily remove this effect. However, if not treated, then the target will simply walk to a secluded area and wait for death. No food, no water, and just will slowly die as the cordyceps fungus slowly begins eating them alive. Thankfully, only 1 in every 1,000 of them actually produce a infection. So, hey, good to that. The second one is known as the Death Cap. They appear, again, mostly human, except they have what appears to be a hat, but it is actually their head that's just one big mushroom. They have a +2 to con, and the main trait Death Cap is poison. Who could have guessed? But it's very similar to the Blood Hunter class. That damage dealt to the player activates spreading spores onto the weapon, for instance a sword, a dagger, or even something like a mace. There are 3 main parts to this. 1d4 damage drawn, then it's 1d6 poison on the weapon. 1d6 damage drawn will be 2d4 poison. However, if they dare to draw 1d20 damage, and after the enemy is struck, that target will die after 5 minutes. Which, to be fair, does seem overpowered until you realize that it can't be used in combat. Okay, so just think about this. Every turn for one person is... the whole thing of combat is 6 seconds. That's 5 minutes. It's essentially just a one last deal sort of thing. But, hey, it can still be fun. It can be cured with a high potion or a greater restoration. I know, not much, but hey, gotta balance it somehow. The next one is Trip. Literally, is a trip. And it's quite literally a trip. Trip. Similar to Death Caps, they have a mushroom on their head, but it's more like a hat, slightly obscuring their face, which is, again, nothing more than a blank slate with 2 spots for eyes. They have a +2 to Wisdom, and their main trait is High Fly. When they take damage from someone, or more specifically an enemy, from 5 feet away, and they have to be 5 feet away because, well, once they get hit, spores will then spew out of them. Well, out of the mushroom. And when someone gets spores on them, they must make a Constitution saving throw, and then on the next turn, and subsequently every other turn, they must make a Wisdom saving throw. If they fail, they must roll a 1d6 to determine what happens. A 1 will make them stop fighting and become extremely passive. And, well, happy. Number 2 is when they're struck with the fear effect. That's just it. They begin shaking, fearful, and even those that normally cannot get affected by fear will get affected by fear. And in return, will just crawl to a corner and often cry. Number 3 is where they begin to see things much moving slower. To the point where even if they attack, they look like they're intentionally moving slower. It doesn't really go well with them. Number 4 is the slightest sound is completely and utterly unbearable, which essentially permanently disables them from any fight. Number 5, well, look, they can't all be winners. Number 5 is they just throw up. They must make a Constitution saving throw, and if they succeed, then they don't throw up. But they do, and the next turn but they do have to fight on the next turn. However, if they fail, then they are writhing on the ground in pain as their guts get spewed. Oh, but number 6, 6 is good. They begin attacking their allies and helping their enemies, as their mind literally gets changed, as their thinking changes. They see allies as enemies, enemies as allies, friends as foes, foes as friends. Gets a lot. Whew. And they can even get it on their weapon, but it's much less effective, only really applying the fear effect, which can be good, only that once it actually hits someone, there's a 90% chance they're just going to leave combat. But, hey, as for where they came from, they don't really come from anywhere. Once magic becomes commonplace, even for a short period of time in just about any world, the fungi will appear. Essentially humanoid fungus, as I've said already for those who may have forgotten, but don't worry. They adopt just about any culture that's around them. Are they much similar to Japanese culture? Then they'll represent Japanese. Native American? American. India? India. It doesn't really matter where they pop up. They will try to adopt just about anything that they're born into, which results in them being, well, just about in every single, and I mean just about every single culture's about some sort of evil boogeyman that appears human but has a mushroom face or mushroom hair and mushroom eyes and something other. They essentially become cryptids, only going out at night, and in return, people seeing them as quite literal monsters. But no, I really want to get close to them because, again, evil mushroom with death powers, yada yada. But I'm afraid that's all I have today. And sorry for the odd way I'm talking. I'm a little bit sick. But anyways, if anybody has any suggestions of items, classes, races, and just about anything else, please leave them in the comments below. And I hope everyone will have a great day, night, whatever. And end session.